My name is Rich Smith. I'm the co-founder of Atlas MedStaff, and I've been staffing travel nurses since 2004. If I've learned one thing over the years, it's that the best advice about travel nursing for travel nurses doesn't come from me or an agency. It comes from you and your peers. That's what this podcast is all about. Travel nursing and your experiences on the road. Welcome to the Atlas Life. Nick Plansinis started off as a travel nurse for Atlas MedStaff and then made the transition to travel nurse recruiter. Now, that's a story for another podcast for another day. This is the story of Cameron and Katie, two of Nick's travelers who normally when you have that relationship with your recruiter who was a travel nurse, you met them on a contract. That's not the case. Nick met Cameron and Katie through a cold call, just through phone calls he was making as a travel nurse recruiter. And quite honestly, if Katie hadn't answered that call, things would probably be dramatically different in their lives. But she answered that call, and during the course of this story, you'll hear kind of how that changed their lives and how that kind of changed Nick's life as well, because they've grown very, very close. This is not your typical travel nurse story. Cameron and Katie are living a much different life now than they would have ever lived before, just as permanent nurses working in a hospital. They represent everything that travel nursing has become. 18 years ago, it wasn't like this. The average age of a travel nurse was much older, after kids had gone to school and the nurse was getting ready to retire. The average travel nurse right now looks a heck of a lot more like Cameron and Katie than they do nurses at 18 years ago when I first started in this industry. So what can you learn from this? You can learn that no matter what, it doesn't matter how early in your career, 2 years experience generally is preferred, but how early in your career you could start travel nursing and start experiencing the life that they've lived. And you'll hear through their stories, this career path that they've chosen really embodies the Atlas life. So what you'll hear now is Ashley Boyce, brand specialist, interviewing Cameron and Katie.
All righty. So yeah, no pressure. I hate being recorded, so.
I don't mind it too much. I don't know what you feel about it. But my name is Cameron Kowalski. I have been a nurse now for about 2.5 years. Started at Cincinnati Children's Hospital as a patient care assistant on the cardiac ICU unit. And so I've been working with cardiac kids now for about 5.5 years. It was a PCA for about 2.5 of those during nursing school. And then I became a nurse shortly after that in July of 2019. So like I said, I strictly only work with cardiac patients in the intensive care unit setting for about 2.5 years now. And we've been traveling with Atlas since August, the beginning of August.
Right. And my name's Katie Kowalski. This is our cat, Lulu. Little celeb show. I can't believe
she's making an appearance.
I have been a nurse for about 5.5 years, and we started traveling with Atlas right after we got married in June. We started traveling in August after meeting Nick through a phone call.
Cold call.
Yeah, cold call. And it was actually one of the best phone calls I decided to ever answer, because now we have all of these new experiences here in Baltimore, and we went from Cincinnati Children's to Johns Hopkins, and we have just had some invaluable experiences with this hospital and traveling.
Perfect. Well, you guys already answered my first question about how you met your recruiter. Gosh, cold calling. That's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, I answered the phone call from Nick, and I had already been looking into traveling, and it's something that's been I've been interested in for several years now. And Cameron wasn't really on board until the very last minute when we decided to take the plunge. And we felt so comfortable with Nick because of his experience being a PICU nurse, and he traveled with his wife, and he understood why it was so important for us to stay together and be, or like have similar schedules and be appreciated more as a unit rather than two individual people.
Yeah, Nick's been fantastic. I mean, he's definitely been the primary reason of why we decided to kind of like pull the trigger when we did. He just has that, that genuine feeling that he wants to help. Like he wants to share his experience that he had with him and his wife, with someone who has almost like an identical situation between me and Katie. So we just felt like amazingly valued with him. Knew he had our best interests, knew he wanted us to have a good overall good experience. And so he's made this entire traveling thing as seamless as possible. And we're super appreciative of everything he's done for us.
Yeah.
We already answered my next question about what you like about working with him. Nailed it. Cool. All right. So what are the pros and cons of travel nursing?
I guess I'll take this one. So I think the biggest thing for us, what we noticed first was within the first month or two of just leaving home, we missed like just seeing our friends and family, just the normalcies that you have, just being able to, just drive over to their house, just be able to have dinner with our parents, just normal stuff that we just, you take for granted when you're at home. So I think, at least for me, that was one of the biggest sacrifices, is just kind of leaving all that just kind of behind you at, I know it's temporary, but it's hard. It's hard going, our first contract was ended in first week of November, I think. And we only made really one or two trips home during that time. So that's definitely one of the cons is, you're sacrificing the life that you have at home and the friends and families that are there for a temporary amount of time. But I think that was one of the hardest things that we've had to deal with on our, since we've been here.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest pros is also, in that same breath, we've been able to experience a whole new city together, whole new foods, kind of fend for ourselves and grow individually and as a couple and as nurses throughout this time. And, really kind of evolve our nursing practice to adapt to new policies, new ideas, and be able to learn different ways to do the same thing to benefit our patients.
It's kind of awesome. It requires you to be extremely adaptable and flexible and just be open to change, which it's hard. Change is one of those things that I personally don't always bring to the table. But you learn you grow from it. You grow from being able to be put in a new atmosphere in a new city, a new hospital, new unit, and just kind of make the best of it. Just by using the resources that you have. It's wonderful that we have each other during all this, working on the same unit, same schedules, like Katie said, because we can use each other as a resource, let alone all the people that have been super welcoming at the hospital that we've been traveling with. So a ton of good, like the new city, it's just being like you're diving into a pool of change, and it's just like that.
Yeah, family will always be there. It's an opportunity of a lifetime that you guys get to travel and do this together.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was the hardest thing to learn?
Ooh.
Lots of stuff.
Honestly, in my standpoint, I feel like the city, Baltimore in itself it's a bizarre city. It's like the way that people who live here describe it is like, it's like these pockets of good and bad, and they're all just like meshed together. Like you'll go a couple streets and it's like you're looking around, so man, it's super nice. You take a left turn and then it's like, where did I just end up?
I go wrong?
So I think that's been hard. The new city has been difficult to manage for sure, because that's another difficulty of traveling, and this being our first assignment was, we didn't know anybody in Baltimore. We had no contacts of resource of being like, hey, we reached out to a couple people on Facebook and been like, if you've been to Baltimore, what are some good areas? But there's no way like you can't see the place. Like we had nobody to go see the place that we first booked, or the area that it was around. You don't know. You just kind of have to hope for the best. So I think that was hard. I think just navigating a new city with no resources was the most difficult thing, at least for me, I feel.
Yeah, I think finding housing in an area that you are unfamiliar with can sometimes seem daunting, but through Facebook and using our recruiter, I feel like they help us in that way. And there's a lot of community resources like within Gypsy Nurses and Atlas in general that kind of gives you more of an idea of where not to live and stay in a certain city. But that was definitely one of the hardest parts. And also just getting the licenses through the government agencies can sometimes be a timely task. At least that's what we experienced.
That's a good way to describe it.
But everything that we've gone through to get to this point has definitely been worth it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't
change it for the
I didn't want to travel to begin with because I was still a new nurse. I was like, let me get 2 years and then we'll talk about it. And then this opportunity came up and we're just like, okay, let's do it.
Let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Yep. It's time to do it. Just got to take the time.
It is the time to do it. That's for certain.
That's what I've heard. Everyone that I've talked to is like, it's a leap of faith, like from Spider-Man. You just got to do it.
It is. And we had some friends that was helpful. We had some friends in Cincinnati that had traveled and they had nothing but good things. They're like, it's going to be hard. It's going to be different, but go do it. Like if you have the opportunity to do it and try it, go do it. So we dove in.
Awesome. So you guys are in Baltimore right now and your first assignment just ended, you said?
Yeah. So we just started an extension for the Johns Hopkins Hospital that we're at now.
Okay. Gotcha. And where are you guys from originally? I'm sorry.
Cincinnati.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. I just went to Boston for the first time. And
nice. How was that?
Driving, navigating Boston, nightmare.
Driving.
I don't even give you. It's like there are no rules. No rules. Lights don't matter. Why use a turn signal? That shouldn't help anyone.
You're in real life Mario Kart.
Oh my God. That's funny you said it. That's exactly how it is here. You feel like you were just fending for yourself and just thankful you get to your destination.
Yeah. Like even trying to navigate on the phone though, it's like all of the streets are like stacked on top of each other. So it's like you have no idea where
you're on the third level of High Street.
In Omaha, Nebraska, like it's pretty simple to get around here. Like it's a big little city. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Crazy.
I think that's what Nick said. That was his favorite place he traveled was Omaha.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever been in the Midwest area in here?
I think I've never been to Nebraska. We went to, out really Midwest. I feel like my brother used to live in Kansas City. We've been out to, that's more west is Wyoming, Jackson Hole and all that stuff. Colorado, my sister's in Colorado. But never like, Ohio is considered Midwest. I don't really understand why. Like we're definitely, I feel like East. You're East. But no, other than Missouri, I don't think I've been many places in the Midwest.
Gotcha. Close enough. All right. What advice would you give a first-time traveler, even though you guys are still kind of new? Like, what do you wish you would have known?
Sure. Advice is just I don't know. I guess my biggest thing is like just be open. Just be open to the experience. Like it's going to be hard. It's going to be change in every aspect, but the growth from it's totally worth it. Like it's just worth the experience. As a person, as a nurse, for our relationships as individuals, the growth has been like Katie said, I wouldn't change that. I would have definitely kicked myself if I would have never taken this opportunity for this experience because it's been really good.
I always say one of the best gifts that Cameron ever gave to me was never wondering what if. After taking the plunge and deciding to go through with this, you can stay at the same job forever if that's what you want to do. But I just felt a calling that I wanted to try out new cities, new experiences. new hospital systems. And I feel like it's made us better nurses, more adaptable, and honestly, enhanced our relationship as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm a huge homebody. Like that's why like getting me out of Cincinnati was difficult. But like, even coming from me, like I'm telling you, like go do it, try it. It will be worth the experience. Another, I guess, big thing, a piece of advice which fell into our lap and we're blessed and thankful for it was take the time to find a recruiter that cares about you. Like talk to them, ask questions, pick their brains. Like, cause I feel like we literally like Nick, I feel like calling Nick every other day, asking like, well, what are we supposed to do about this? And this is for, what am I supposed to do about compliance for the hospital for Atlas? And so,
there are going to be hiccups along the way. So you want someone who's in your corner that will actually advocate for you and help you through this process.
That's one thing. And it's like, if we've talked to people from different travel companies and they've talked to like, if they're looking for like changes in their contract or rate increases and stuff, like, oh man, I had to fight for that. Like I had to be on my recruiter. She didn't get back to me for a week. We haven't had to do any of that with Nick. Nick just comes to us and be like, hey, I negotiated this. It's in your best interest. Take a look at it. Let me know. It's like, like take the time to find a recruiter that cares about you. And we're really thankful for Nick because he kind of just fell into our lap. So
yeah, Atlas and Nick has really made our experience.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
That's awesome. And like you said, like I've never met Nick personally, but like since he was a nurse and like you said, he knows what you guys are going through. So he knows what to do versus a recruiter that hasn't been a traveler.
Absolutely.
But yeah. Super cool.
We just wanted to share our experience that we had with him with other people that were looking to do the same thing as we were. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So why did you guys, you kind of already touched on it a little, but why did you decide to start traveling instead of staying home?
I think Katie said it was definitely something she's been wanting to do. She talked about it, I feel like even in the early days of me becoming a nurse. But you're seeing, I mean, it's kind of like a nationwide thing right now within hospitals is that the benefits and pensions and pay that was offered to staff nurses years ago doesn't seem to be there. So she has some old school debt and we had some other things that we really wanted to take care of. We're like, well, why don't, if we have the opportunity to do the exact same thing, take care of the same patients elsewhere for, a substantially increased amount of money, like why wouldn't we take the opportunity to do what's best for our, just our long-term financial stability. And like when we have kids and stuff like that, just kind of try to set us up for success. We also, I feel like, had a little bit of some, gripes with where we were at the time, management issues, stuff like that, to where like stuff in Cincinnati within the unit, morale wasn't great. Plus they were moving into a new critical care building, actually, which happened this month. And so there was going to be a lot of change for us regardless. There's going to be a brand new building, tons of learning curves. And we're like, we're going to be doing a lot of change, whether we travel or stay here. So why not take the plunge and travel and just try that? So you can always come back to Cincinnati.
Yeah. I mean, even just within our short time, it's been 4 months, it's completely changed our security moving forward in life and with our future children, hopefully someday, and has honestly given us a greater appreciation for where we're from, for time with family and friends that happened every day. And we just didn't take the time to truly appreciate it. So I think it's given us a whole different perspective on life moving forward and adaptability.
Totally. Absolutely. Brand new. Yeah. The perspective changes. It sounds cliche, but it's like one of those things. It's like, you don't know what you have until it's not there. And it's so true when it comes to leaving home for sure.
That's awesome. You guys also already touched on this a little, but if you want to expand on it, you can. Why Atlas?
Yeah, like, again, it kind of fell into our lap, but from Nick to, I mean, he offered, we stayed at his house and met him in person on our way to moving to Maryland, because it's like an exact halfway point. It's like, it's that kind of like, and I don't expect him to do that for everyone by any means, but like just the fact that he offered to, it's like, hey, come meet me to where I live. I'll show you around Pittsburgh. I'll have you meet our family. You can have like little halfway points, so you don't have to drive the full 8 hours. It just feels like we just feel valued. And I feel like, honestly, as staff nurses, over time, that feeling can be diminished. So I think the traveling, it's like you have this new recruiter who's very invested in you. So Atlas is, I mean, that's not even touching on all of the the fun amenities that they offered. Like they sent us like 2 Yeti coffee mugs and a North Face jacket. And the Atlas,
all of which we had no idea were coming.
Yeah, exactly. They got us a Yeti dog bowl, and then the Atlas Adventure. That's a cool thing too. We didn't even really. I kind of forgot we had that, but you could use that money for anything, and we used it to go home to see our family. So it was great. So at least
I think there's also a feeling of personability within working with Nick, where he actually cares about us and our well-being and checks up on us constantly, really wants us to have a good experience rather than just benefit from us monetarily.
Yeah. Like he'll check in with us and just like, how are you doing? Like, how was the new place? How was work? Is there anything I could do for you guys? Like it
feels a lot more like talking to a friend.
Yeah. Totally.
And I mean, within this process, we've also gotten to know his wife, Emily, and his son, Connor, who just turned 1. And we love getting videos of him. So and he just started walking. So it's been a really fun experience to meet a new friend in the process.
And it's funny because we talked to other travelers, because there's a lot of travelers to where we are now. And again, Atlas has been wonderful to us, but I think in the long run, it's your recruiter. And that's what makes, and that's what drives people to a company, is the quality of the people that you're working with. And that's what was probably one of the biggest things for us, was he's top of the line quality, and he cares. And that makes us feel good about working with Atlas and working with him.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the biggest reasons why we're even nurses in the first place is to form connections with people. And we have definitely found that with Atlas and with Nick.
Cool. Yeah. Like you said, like Nick is with Atlas, but also part of my job is like helping the recruiters essentially brand themselves too.
Yeah.
It's their hustle, and it's their relationships that they're making. So like, I don't even know like what he's done with it, but his logo that's like a superhero. I made that for him.
That's awesome.
So I get to make logos and stuff like that for the recruiters, and it's super fun just getting to talk to them. So
sure, totally.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool. All right, one more question for this video. What's next? Where do you guys want to go? Do you want to go to like Alaska? What do you guys want to do?
So we talked about it, and our only major requirement for where we go next is knowing one person, is knowing someone who lives there.
Who can help navigate the city.
It can help us acclimate to the new city. Just because I think, again, like we said, that was the hardest part, was the acclimation to somewhere without really having any like main resource. And like the people at work have been great. Like they've been fantastic. Like without them, we would have been lost. So we have a friend, her best friend's in Texas. So we just applied for our Texas license. Actually, that's what I did my fingerprinting for today. So that may be next on the list in places we will go. I think she has aspirations for California. I would do Colorado. My sister lives out there. So again, I think it's not even so much location for us. It is and it isn't, but it's more of like location plus having our individual that we know for a resource. So
yeah, honestly, that's half the fun, is we really don't know what's next.
And that's absolutely. I agree with that.
But knowing we'll have each other and new experiences.
Yeah.
We're just excited for what's to come.
Doing this alone would be hard.
Yeah.
So I think having each other through all of this has made it possible, because I don't think it would have been without it.
That's amazing. That's an amazing way to end it. That was just beautiful. Awesome.
Cameron and Katie represent the new age of travel nursing, the young, fun, adventurous. Now, you don't have to jump out of airplanes. You don't have to, do those types of things, but being open to new experiences. And like Cam said during the interview, the next requirement for them to go somewhere really is just that they know one person. So it could be California, it could be Colorado, it could be North Dakota. You don't know. Just be open to those adventures and be open to trying new things and seeing different parts of the country. I think what you're going to find is you never know what you're going to get, and you never know where you end up if that might be the place that you decide to stay forever. We've had quite a few travel nurses that have said, there's no way I would have ever considered living here previously, X place, Y place, whatever it is. Then they get there, they work a contract, and they make friends, and they decide, this is my forever home. And we still keep in touch with them. And that truly has become their forever home. So if this sounds like your story, or you want to tell your story, we want to tell your story. All you have to do is email brand@atlasmedstaff.com and get in touch with one of our brand specialists. And maybe next time you could be featured on the Atlas Life podcast. Hi, my name is Rich Smith. I'm the co-founder of Atlas MedStaff, and I've been staffing travel nurses since 2004. If I've learned one thing over the years, it's that the best advice about travel nursing for travel nurses doesn't come from me or an agency. It comes from you and your peers. That's what this podcast is all about. Travel nursing and your experiences on the road. Welcome to the Atlas Life.